It's me, Heather Pastor. I hope you're ready to sketch some lemons. It's my first go at this FaceTime, or excuse me, Facebook Live video broadcast. So bear with me. I just had a little glitch already in the fact that I was supposed to, I guess, like have Wi-Fi on, and then I'd read something about being in airplane mode, so your guess is as good as mine, because I don't know a whole lot about this tech stuff. So I'm trying to do a whole lot of research, and I'm very excited that you all are joining me tonight from my home studio. But I do wish that I could be in front of everybody. It's kind of strange to be talking to myself right now. But hopefully we'll all learn a little bit along the way. So I see several people have started watching, and hopefully that means that I'm on the screen since I can't see what everybody else sees, which is very odd. And I have to tell you that having taught in a classroom setting, this is going to be it's going to be a little weird because I can't kind of pick up on everybody's nonverbals. So if you aren't getting one of the concepts that I'm trying to share with you, hopefully you'll drop me a little line and let me know. And I'm trying to kind of use you all as guinea pigs. I hope you don't mind, to try to make this whole this virtual teaching thing, trying to get a little more comfortable with it, and hoping that you will all give me some feedback. Mostly positive, but I can handle the negative too, as long as it's something that I can fix. So thank you all for joining me. I see a lot of my families come on board. I appreciate it. Lots of friends. This is kind of cool. I can see your comments. And thank you. Oh, good. Thank you so much for sharing that, Liz. So the other part of this that's going to be a little bit strange is that you may have questions along the way, and I am filming this from my cell phone camera, or whatever, you know. So I won't necessarily be able to type responses as we're going along, and you're not going to be looking at this face the whole time. I'm going to try to keep my blabber to a minimum so that we can actually learn a little something. But I will respond if you leave a comment below, and I might actually ask some questions along the way. Hi, Denise. This is so weird and distracting. So at some point, I'm actually going to turn this camera down onto the tabletop, and we're gonna start sketching. So if I don't respond verbally, because I won't be able to see the comments once I turn the camera, I will definitely respond afterwards. I will make sure that I am being as attentive as possible. Thanks, Pam. Okay, so let's start by hopefully everybody got either an email or checked out the Facebook page and was able to print out the copy of this photo, black and white, of lemons. So the reason I chose lemons for tonight's subject was because we've kind of been, well, how should we put this? So they say in life that you, you know, if you get, it's not served up lemons, what is it? If you, oh man, I can't even think. I'm like getting super nervous. But anyway, if you've got, well, you're going to make lemonade out of them. I can't remember the stupid saying right now because it's escaping me. But basically, if life, that's what it is. If life gives you lemons, which life has kind of given us some lemons right now. My cousin says grab a beer. But if life gives you lemons, I think the proper finish to that little saying is that you're going to make lemonade with them. So hopefully, if you were, I'm easily distracted, obviously. If you, since we got served up some lemons, we're going to try and make some lemonade. So my plan was we're going to sketch some lemons tonight and then maybe sketch lemonade, a tall glass of lemonade next month. So maybe sooner if I can get this all like under my belt. But anyway, this isn't my favorite photo of lemons, but it was one of the free ones. So we might make some adjustments along the way, and don't worry if you didn't have a chance to print out. A black and white version is nice because we're going to be doing pencil sketching, and obviously pencil being graphite is you're going to be working in shades of gray. So I like working from a black and white or a grayscale copy when I'm doing drawings. You can always add color later, and maybe, I don't know, I'm kind of on this whole lemon thing, maybe we could paint this too. So we'll see. I gotta take one step at a time, but I'm kind of excited to be able to just teach something to somebody. So anyway, everybody's doing all kinds of things with lemons, making little commentaries, so... And I am definitely not going to be able to have the comments on this whole time. Like, I'm definitely distracted by that part. So, anyway, so all you're going to need are your trusty old number 2 pencil. This guy right here. Hopefully you can see it. Okay, so any old number 2 pencil. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. We could get into all kinds of discussions on drawing pencils and which ones to use for what, but today I think we're going to just try to get a contour line drawing of this bowl of lemons and maybe this guy right here. I really wanted a full lemon, but I couldn't find one that had everything in it. So we might just, we're going to do a little practice. And I do happen to have a lemon, a real lemon that I got at the store over a week ago, so it's pretty yeah, it's pretty ripe, but they make I make a delicious cookie with them, so that one's definitely getting made into cookies after this class. Okay, I feel like I'm talking a whole lot, which happens even in my classes when I am teaching in front of people, but I can't see anybody starting to snooze on me. So, and the other thing is I can't see like body language. So like if people are like deer in headlights, which I get sometimes, I can't kind of like, I can't change anything up because I can't see you. So hopefully you'll just have fun. Use this as a nice outlet. Art can be great therapy, even when life's going well, but especially when life is going kind of crappy. So, all right, let's get started. All right, I'm going to turn this now from facing me, and I'm going to give you a desktop. Yes, they make a great Maria as well. Great ingredient for a Maria. I'm going to turn this to the desktop, and we're going to go from there. You have your trusty number 2 pencil. A plain old piece of copy paper is just fine. I know not everyone was able to run out and get a whole lot of supplies at Michael's. You can get yourself a really nice sketch pad at even at Walmart and of course Amazon. Nobody's paying me for these videos yet, but eventually, maybe. In the meantime, we're using number 2 pencil, copy paper. If you have a sketch pad, that's great. You can bust open the sketch pad. And I'm going to actually use a Sharpie, because sometimes you can't see very well. Actually, I think you can see better, it seems, on this little camera on my phone than you can sometimes when we're in the classroom and I'm, you know, 8-10 feet away from you. So I'm going to use a Sharpie to do some outlining of things. I definitely need an eraser. And I like this one. And I'm not going to even turn it toward the camera because it's all going to be mirrored. I couldn't figure out how to flip that around. It's easy on the iPhone, of course, but not so much on an Android. But I have a nice big eraser because I make a lot of mistakes in life and on the drawing pad. So maybe some of you can relate to that. And that's it. We're going to start by warming up drawing circles. So if you saw my post today on the Facebook page, I said to draw some circles. So lemons, just like anything else that you're going to try to draw, is going to be broken down into the basic, you learned them in kindergarten or maybe before, shapes. So that's literally what we're going to start with. Some circles and maybe some tiny little triangles. The lemon is not a perfect circle, just so you know. It is like anything in nature, and if you've taken classes with me before, I always point that out because I am a recovering perfectionist myself. Nothing is perfect. It's a hard and fast rule, but nature especially is not perfect. And so there's a lot of room to make imperfect circles. But it's also a really good kind of little meditation to start out with when you're getting going to draw. Like, I always try to do a little something to kind of, you know, like anything else, like you need a little warm up. You can't just jump right into something. So I usually in my classes have everybody do some kind of warm up. I'm going to keep it really simple for you guys tonight, and we're going to do circles. So I'm going to turn this down onto the desktop so you can see this and hopefully still hear me. It's hot enough here in Florida because I know I have a lot of people that are not in Florida that are on right now. It's hot enough here to have the air conditioner on. So I'm hoping you can't hear that in the background. It just popped off. So we're probably in good shape for now. But we're just going to start drawing some circles. So here we go. And you might see my nose because I want to make sure that I have my paper in the right spot. Okay. All right. So I won't be able to see your comments and I can't see my face. So hopefully you can still hear my voice. And we're going to start by just drawing circles. And they can be spirals even, like to get started. Just give me a whole page of circles. It's a lot harder to draw a circle than you think. And usually I like to kind of have my arms stretched out a little bit, but I don't really have room to do that and stay on camera. So hopefully you all can see these. And I usually can't just do a circle. I usually have to do, and that's why I need a big eraser. I usually have to do, and that's why I always call this sketch class instead of drawing class, because my style, if you will, until I get really into what I'm doing, it's mostly sketchy. It's very sketchy because of that whole perfectionist thing. So, and I'm sure some of you can relate to that. So I can always go back and erase the other little lines that are the sketchy part of the lines. Because I don't know if I could draw a circle. Oh, that's not a bad one. Surprise myself sometimes. But like I said, a lemon is not a perfect circle, and that's not what we're going for here. This is just our warm-up and a starter to what's to come. So hopefully everybody got, and it's not in shadow. That was my other worry here. So thanks for letting me sort some of these things out with you. Okay, so here's my circles. Now, I think I might take just a couple of these on here. If you have a couple circles that you like on this particular sheet, you can add the little triangle. And all right, so that was, I knew what was the next step, so I didn't do a triangle. Here is my little triangle. Now, on my lemon, I don't know if you can see it because I wasn't expecting everyone to have a lemon. This one has like kind of like a little nub on this end where probably connected to the tree. And then this side here, sometimes I've seen them where this is doesn't have the little stem still attached. So maybe if you come across a lemon, you'll find out. This class should hopefully make you look a little more closely at your fruit and citrus. One of the things that is very important when it comes to being an artist is being a good observer of your surroundings. So it's funny because even when I sit down to draw something, doesn't matter what it is, even if I've seen it a million times, there's always some little detail about it that I notice that I didn't notice before, like that little guy right there. So yeah, take a closer look at everything around you. It's actually pretty interesting. And when I tell you that you can literally break down pretty much anything that I can think of into different shapes and then form, it literally all starts at the most basic level. So when you look around at things, maybe you'll think twice and go, oh yeah, she's right. That's just a circle, or that's just a square, or that's just a cylinder. Now, okay, so I just went into the forms, but you get the idea. Like everything is going to begin with a basic shape, and then we can add the form aspect, which is basically taking it from a two-dimensional circle to a three-dimensional sphere. Now we're going to attempt that a little bit right now, but like I said, for the most part, that would be kind of a shading lesson. And tonight I just want to kind of be confidence booster and get y'all to possibly just draw like the contour line, like more of like an illustration quality style, or like if you're familiar with clip art, like just getting a nice, that's like a contour line drawing, like anything you see in a coloring book is a line drawing, and is the basis literally for all good drawings, is in my opinion to have a really good solid contour line drawing first, and then you can add all the rest of it, all the details. But it's a lot harder to do the line drawing than you think, so that's what we're going to practice. So as far as our little lemons, now you can use one of the circles that you've already created on your page, or you can flip the page. My lemon just came out of the fridge, so it's wet, so now my page is going to get wet. It's got condensation on it. But anyway, so just take a good look. If you don't have your own lemon, here is my model for the evening. There's a cute little dimple here, which if you're doing shading, or even if you're doing, you're just on your line drawing, you can include that. I'll probably put a little something on here to whatever, to, it kind of looks like a face if you look at it. Again, I get distracted easily even when I don't have your comments. Doesn't this look like a little smile and a nose? If I added a couple eyeballs, I have to do it. Right here. Tell me he's not cute. Can you see him? Anyway, okay, so back to drawing. Okay. So we got our circle, and if you want to practice a couple more circles, I'll probably try another one over here. So basically I'm just doing a little triangle coming off of the, can you guys see that? Off the edge, or off the side of our, of my circle. And like this guy, like he had a little, we can go back and clean these guys up, but you get the idea. And so just practice that on a couple of them. Maybe I like to pick 2 or 3 that I like the best. And then you want them to be kind of shallow. I can't remember geometry. I think that's like a right angle kind of thing. Just pick a few circles and add your triangles. And they could be going facing any direction that you want. Okay? Okay. So now this is what I usually would look up and see how everybody's doing. And find out, you know, like I said, by shaking of heads, yes or no. But I don't have that luxury tonight. So, okay. So basically after I do my little circle for my lemon and my triangles, then I'm going to go in and I'm going to kind of shape it up, is what I'm going to call it. So it's not usually this pointy as a triangle. So I'm going to come back in here and I'm just going to kind of round some of these off. And like I said, I kind of get a little sketchy and then not like sketchy, you know. And then I go back and kind of make the form, because it's not going to be this drastic, this angle here. It's going to be a little more rounded off. So I'm going to come back in here and I'm going to round some of this stuff off. And then I can go back in with this big old eraser. Even if you have your little pink eraser, that works fine too. And I pick the lines I like the best, and I erase the rest. Now, technically you should be keeping these lines pretty light. And again, I'm still making this a very round lemon, but like I said, they have a lot of little imperfections in them, which is what makes them great. Makes us all great, our imperfections. There we go. So I'm making my lines a little darker because I want you all to be able to see them. And then when I really like them, then I'll go ahead and I'll mark them up with Sharpie so you can see them really well. But normally your sketch lines are going to be really light. Kind of light and feathery and loose, which is not something I'm really good at with my art. I'm usually very tight drawer. Okay, so I kind of like the shape of this lemon. Maybe I want to add that little funny, I don't know all the proper terms, but this guy right here, the thing that connected him to the tree. And like, look at the shape of it, you know, I mean, he's round on top, but I'm looking at him from a side angle. That's the other thing we have to keep in mind, is the perspective at which we're looking at this lemon. So most of the time lemons are laying on their sides, and the two sides, or the two little nodules are on the right and left. If you tried to stand him up, he's going to fall because of those little nodules. So most of the time, if you see a lemon laying around, lazy little lemon, he's going to be kind of looking like this, like side angle, like a profile, lemon profile. Okay. I wanted to kind of make this look a little bit like a little nodule thing coming out. His smile. So even though he's got a bad rap, this little lemon has a smile on his face. Because he knows he gets to be lemonade eventually. Or something even better, right? Adult beverage version of himself. Okay, so here's side angle lemon, and here's, that's not so hard, right? You guys got that? Right? This is so weird. Okay, and actually, because my marker was kind of got caught when I was making this line, it's kind of wiggly, which I like even more. Like I said, like there's a little, you know, he's got the rind on him, the lemon, so he's not going to be perfectly smooth. He's going to have like a little, I call it rumples. I don't know what they're really called. He's got like, when I do the pineapple painting with my class, I call them rumples. Little rumples on their skin. So call them whatever you want, bumps, rumples. Sometimes you'll see like people will put like little, I don't know. They're supposed to be like little highlights or kind of for the rind, like itty bitty tiny little C's. And you're doing all this still probably with your pencil, which is good. I just wanted you to see a little lemon. Now if you want to get really fancy, like these are probably going to be more, they're going to be closer to one another, like at the bottom for shading. This is sort of like what they call stippling, where you put your dots, kind of like pointillism, if anybody's ever heard of that. Syrah. Anyway, so these things would be a little bit closer together down here, and they'd get further apart as you got closer to a highlight. I could do this all night, but okay. But we don't have all night. So, lemons. How's that for you? Okay. So now I want to talk a little bit about, so if you don't have this paper printed out, that's okay. If you can see it maybe on a computer screen or something, that's good. I usually like to work from a reference photo or from life. Now I didn't draw him exactly. He's pretty flat on the bottom. But because I knew everybody didn't have that lemon, or any lemon for that matter, it wasn't a prerequisite for the class. So, but if you have this this page or this image printed, that would be great. What I want to do and how I usually kind of tackle things is I am a firm, and I know a lot of you who have been in my classes know that I am a huge lover of the grid method. Now, not everybody loves the grid method. Happens to be one of my favorites. Some people can just go to a canvas or go to a sheet of paper and have at it. I like to kind of give myself reference points, and I'm going to do a couple things in here, and it's actually very similar to the way that I teach the Paint Your Pet class that I teach. I think there's a few of you out there tonight that that have been in that class. You can chime in, even though I can't see you, if you have painted your pet with me. And I did the ornaments class too. I think there's a few of you who had done the ornaments class with me. Paint your pet on an ornament. But anyway, so we're going to use, basically when I do the Paint Your Pet class, I have people bring a photo of their pet printed on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, and those I usually actually ask for color because we're going to be doing in paint, and I need to have like a color reference to help them choose tones and shades of colors. And we take that piece of paper and we actually crop it. So if you've ever used any kind of photo software, like on your phone, or you've added like filters and fancy things like that, there's usually a place where you can crop it. And when I say crop, so I took an 8.5 sheet of paper and literally just, and this was a square image, and I am basically taking all the white from around it and folding it. Now you could cut it too, but again, I was trying to keep this low supply list for this class. And you're basically going to, and that's why I like having the hard copy. If you've got the hard copy, it's helpful. But you'll actually be able to, once we get this done on ours, you'll be able to use that. Hopefully the ones, those of you who have not printed it will hopefully be able to use it as a reference as well, based on what you're seeing here. So I'm cropped or folded all of the white space from around it, and now I'm going to take it, and I love that it's a square, it makes life so much easier. I'm going to take it and fold it in half lengthwise, or it doesn't really matter because it's a square, one direction like so, and then another direction. So basically we're taking our square and we're making it into 4 more squares. That makes sense? You kind of see what I did? So half this direction. It's so weird to do this upside down and right side up. So half this way, and then I just did it in half again. Okay. Okay. So look at that. And that little lemon that was cut in half, you can see it all in one quadrant, which is kind of nice. So there's a few different ways you can do this. Now, I found a bowl of lemons because I felt like life wasn't just one lemon right now. It might have been more than one lemon, several lemons, and we're going to need several lemons to make lemonade too, so it's not such a bad thing. But anyway, so the first thing I want to point out, and maybe we will just tackle like this because this is a rather large. Now, some of you I know that are tuning in tonight are have been in classes with me. They know my spiel. I teach drawing and painting classes in New Smyrna Beach and other parts of Volusia County in Florida. And So you may have seen some of these techniques before if you've ever been to one of my classes. But if you know me, you know that I also usually bite off a bigger project than we have time to do. So anyway, let's try the big picture, and then we can get into smaller bits and pieces depending upon how time is running. I was trying to keep this around a half an hour to 45 minutes, but we're already like a half an hour in. So probably going to be closer to an hour by the time it's all said and done. And that should still be good for dinner time if you haven't eaten already. So the thing about this image, and one of the reasons I chose it, was because you also have, this is kind of supposed to be a class on spheres. So a circle that you make into a three-dimensional, so this is our two-dimensional little lemon. But if you wanted to shade it, and sometimes I'll put my pencil like on an, I'll kind of hold it a little differently. So you can, I think you can see what my hand looks like now. I'm not going to hold it like I would normally, like when I'm writing a letter, or I guess if people still do that. I do. But anyway, you hold it a little differently, and it works better to shade with a pencil if it's not too sharp, because you want to come in here and do little strokes here. So by taking our circle, and this is a real art form unto itself. So until you get the gist of it, like doing shading, I like actually shading a lot on with vine charcoal, because it's softer and it's just a little bit more, what's the word I want? It is, especially in the beginning, it moves a little bit easier. It's an art form to get the name of the game when you're shading is to try not to see the lines. I'm going to try to do this and be a good... I'm saying that my little sunshine, you have to think about when you're shading, you have to think about where your light source is coming from. So I know this might be a little bit upside down for you guys, but I cannot draw. Drawing is hard enough right side up. It's even more difficult to try to do it upside down. But just to give you an idea, we would try to create, so I don't want to take too much time on this part. Maybe we'll do part 2 of the lemons. You're going to try to, I like to use the shape of whatever object it is. So like this, my lemon, the closest form that would be, the form that would be closest to would be a sphere. And a sphere is a circle, a three-dimensional circle. So our circle is two-dimensional, and our sphere, like the earth, or I don't know, you name it. There's a ton of spheres out there. These sweeping, so I drew these lines in here, kind of like guidelines, little, they have a name. I can't think of it right now. But anyway, you get the idea. So we would try to shade our lemon. Is that right? We would try to shade our lemon so it would be darkest where it comes close to the surface that it's sitting on, and then it would get lighter, or it would have some kind of a highlight, usually depending upon where the light source is, it would have a little highlight. So that's when doing a still life, if you had a lemon or an orange or something, and you have a light source, a nice light source that you can kind of beam down on it, that's where you'll be able to see that grayscale more clearly. So this is kind of a weird situation, and again, this is my first go at this, so it's time to be able to scenario so that everybody could be drawing from the same still life on camera, which would be super cool. But anyway, so two-dimensional, three-dimensional, I'd have to write those mirror-like, and I don't know how to do that right now, so you get the idea. But back to our, if you've already hopefully cropped the image, folded it, now sometimes I'll draw like a light pencil line on here where the fold marks are. Some people's eyes are better and they don't need that. Depending upon what I'm drawing, sometimes I'll even make these marks. And I'll even make those marks in marker, which I might do tonight for the sake of the video. Maybe. Okay. So we've got this, and I'm going to draw something like a square on a second piece of paper. Or you could just flip over that piece of paper that you drew your circles on in your lemon practice. You could even use that. So that's pretty square. You could actually just trace this and make your life a lot easier. Ding dong. Okay. I don't know why I don't think of these things. Okay. All right. So disregard this line. Now, again, I'm going to outline all the information that I want to include. Now, here's the cool part, another cool part about being an artist. You can have a reference photo and not include all the information in it. You can choose to add something to it or take anything that you want out of it. So maybe you don't want to even try to tackle this little half a lemon tonight. It's too much for you. It's just stressing you out. It should not be stressful in the least. Leave them out. You have that prerogative. That is something that you can decide, because we're going to have the whole bowl of lemons back here too. So I'm going to outline with my pencil first. Again, I got to turn this right side up. I'm only so good at this on any given day. And I'm going to trace out each one of these little lemons too, because mine, I don't know about yours, but I think the image I got wasn't very high quality JPEG, and so we might be missing some information, or it might be a little fuzzy. So that's why I kind of like to go in here and kind of see what I'm working with. Be clear about it. And again, I call myself a type A artist because I like things to be very crisp and clear, and I'm not into this whole like loosey-goosey thing. I don't know, it just makes me nervous. But that's my style. That doesn't have to be your style. Okay, so, ooh, and I want to do this part too. I'm going to draw these in. Now these again, so here's the other thing. You have a reference photo, but you also don't have to, now if you're trying to make this look like a photo, yeah, you probably want to make it, you probably want to do everything exactly as you see it, right? If you want it to look like a photograph. But I have friends who say, and I tend to be of the belief, that if you wanted to have a photograph of something now, in this day and age, you can just take a photograph of it. So, again, that's not every artist's take on the world, but I think part of the fun of, probably because I'm not awesome at photorealistic drawings, but part of the fun of it is finding your style, and then learning the basics, but then, and I think it was Picasso who said, you know, basically you learn the rules to break them. I don't think it was exactly his quote, but something close to that. Anyway, so hopefully I'm not upside down either, right side up. Is everybody, I'm trying to read some of these comments, but I know a friend of mine did one of these Facebook Live videos the other day, and she was sideways the whole time, so I'm hoping that's not happening to me right now, but I guess I will find out soon enough. Anyway, hopefully you can see what I'm doing, and you're not having to turn your neck or your laptop or your phone or whatever device you're on. Oh, gosh. So anyway, I've created 4 quadrants here. I want to mimic that here. Now, I'm not going to fold my other piece of paper. You could if you wanted to be very exact about it. I'm just going to try to draw those in. And hopefully they're dark enough that you can see them. I can't tell really. And I don't want to make them super dark because they're really just my guidelines. But what you're going to do is, we've created, when I say grid method, we've created a big grid. Now, if you're doing a more complicated photograph or reference photo, you might want to make several, you can literally mark this inch by inch and make a grid, like literally draw vertical lines and horizontal lines on top of your reference photo, so that you make sure if you're doing more detailed work that it keeps you very, it keeps you on point with where you're at. This is nice, I think, especially when you're beginning, because this is just a simple, fairly simple drawing, or excuse me, reference photo. And we're just going to divide it into 4 blocks because there's not a whole lot going on in each one of these blocks. Maybe more so up here, but we can take some creative license, they call it, when we get to these places up here, where our lemons and our sections and stuff, they don't have to be exact. So anyway, let's take one quadrant at a time. Now, some people work better when they fold everything up and they can only draw what's in this quadrant, right? Some of them, and then you'd flip it over, and this would be this quadrant. Oh, it's kind of hard to show you like that. But anyway, or you can leave it open and just, which is what I prefer to do, is leave it open, and this is upside down, isn't it? Okay. Basically, we're going to look at where you are in reference. So you're going to look at this is a contour line drawing you just created with your pencil. And you're going to look at where all of these lines intersect your guidelines. So like here's a point here. That doesn't intersect a guideline. I just like this point here. And this is technically the edge of your paper. So I'm just going to use this, and maybe I can do this one upside down. I'm going to try. And if it's too hard, then I'll, so I'm going to look at, here's my midline here, and here is the top of my paper here. So somewhere around a little bit more than a third of the way up is where I'm going to start this point right here. Okay? So somewhere around there. And then it comes down on an angle. You want to look at this space, this funky space, and whoop, kind of try to do that. Okay? Okay. And then this comes up here like so. Now, if you know, I was talking about spheres because a lemon is a sphere. So is it's half a sphere. The bowl is a half a sphere. So you're actually getting a lot of sphere work here. And this is kind of challenging to do. But look at where this point here on my bowl intersects the midline, which is about, it's a little bit lower than this line. Now, this is the part that people who don't like the grid method, you know, they're like, oh, for crying out loud, like, just get on with it. You can do that too. Like, I like this method, and it keeps me on track as far as where I want to go, but not everybody likes it. Some people just want to eyeball it. Is this showing the right way? I can't read these comments, and I don't have my glasses. So, we want to look at like this line on this lemon intersects here. So like if we drew this line down, it'd be about here, somewhere around here. I'm drawing those in so you can see them, and then it's going to hopefully help me a little bit doing this upside down. It's very challenging. All right. So this is where, again, like if you don't want to, I'm going to eyeball some of this too, because it doesn't take as long. But if you want it to be closer to, whoops, this is the top of that one, a little line here. Came up too far. See, now I tried to go all rogue and not follow my grid. This is my center, or this is my grid line. I'll darken it a little bit so you can see it through these gray areas. And I might have to turn this on. You know, it's funny because actually a lot of artists will turn something upside down because your left brain has the tendency to fill in information based on what it knows, not what it sees. That's another key to being a good artist, and especially good at drawing, is to make sure that you... Oh, see, I'm getting confused because... There we go. this is just the top of this lemon here. Whoops, kind of off there. And then look at these shapes. It creates all these funky little shapes, and this one's a little bit off, I'm not gonna lie. You can probably see that. And then this lemon here comes about there. Let me draw that. Hopefully you guys can see this. Maybe I should go, I got this Sharpie, I might as well use it, right? Let me just trace this out so it'll be a little bit more visible. And if you want to darken up your lines, with your pencil, or if you have a marker nearby or something, you could do the same thing. It is helpful. I just want to make sure that it's all visible. Draw these on. Okay. And it's not very easy to see on this, but we're going to just draw. I'm just going to use that guideline actually as our tabletop. I don't think it goes straight across like that in the real reference photo. So if you're looking at it online, you might see different line, but this is our horizon line for tonight's sake. And that's a whole nother ball game. Talking about perspective, which is a fun and challenging subject, but it's totally necessary. Now something is funky here because that is not the same shape. It's a lot wider. I need to come down on a little bit more of an angle. Okay. Whew. It's a good thing I got this big the big white eraser for tonight. The vinyl eraser. It's my favorite. If you're going to invest in anything from drawing perspective, it's a really good, this is Mars Plastic, but there's other off-brands that are just as good. It's just a white vinyl eraser. Okay, so everything that is above this line here is my guideline here. So I want to try to create this part of the bowl. So never realized how many noises I made when I draw. Usually I have a tendency to say things I probably shouldn't say. Now see, my my left brain wants to make this so much more rounded here. And in the picture, it's pretty flat. Like the top of that bowl is pretty flat. And I keep trying to make it something that it's not. Which, again, that's right brain, left brain. I could get into that again. If you've taken classes with me, you've heard me talk about it incessantly because it really has a lot of, it makes a lot of sense. It explains why can't necessarily always get into that creative mode and why we always want to draw what we think we see or what we think we know. Like, oh, this is a lemon. I know what a lemon looks like. And you just draw like I did on these guys. I know what a lemon looks like. It's a circle. It's got a couple of triangles, blah, blah. But if you really tap into your right brain, you will draw what is in front of you. But it takes a lot of concentration. It's almost like a little meditation, if you will. And it's fabulous. When it happens, you'll know it because it's amazing. And it's almost like, you know, you hear people talk about like a runner's high, or if you've ever been driving along, like in the car, and you're like, end up somewhere and you're like, oh my gosh, I forgot my exit. It's where your brain goes when those things happen. And it's amazing. I painted one painting that I literally don't remember painting. And I was perfectly sober, and it was just, I got in that mode, and it's fabulous. You know, people, you hear artists will talk about forgetting to eat, stuff like that, and everyone's like, what? Even I say, what? Because that's something I don't ever forget to do. But it's really, it's amazing. And it's when you are most thoroughly entranced in what you're doing. Okay. So I got the tops of my lemons. Now again, you can take your, this is not exactly where it should be. I'm still finding little things that I can clean up. But this is the part that you want to get done really well before you go on to that whole shading deal. I mean, that's where it starts to really come together, because you're trying to draw something that's three-dimensional. So it really isn't until you get the shading in there that people go, oh, that's really a bowl full of lemons. But tonight we're just going to really concentrate on the, and I think I might have made this too short too. See, I could like nitpick my stuff all night long. It's horrible. It's a horrible, horrible habit. But anyway, so you get the idea. And you can do, again, you can take that creative license. You can put more lemons. You could balance one of these lemons that we drew on our other page on the top. You can go crazy. Do whatever you like. Okay, so now I'm going to try to connect this part. Now I'm going to go ahead and fold this down. And hopefully it'll help me. Now there might be some of you at this point that are placing this underneath this and walking over to a window and tracing it. Which is fine. Which is fine if you're going to do the contour line drawing. But if you want to stick with me to do the shading, then you're going to have to eventually, those are things you're probably not going to be able to do at the window. You can do a pretty good job of it, but it's not going to look the same. Bottom half from here down. Now, this might be partially because, again, we're human. We're not perfect. I know I keep saying that. It's just to remind myself. But these quadrants might not be the same size as these quadrants. So, like when you're drawing a grid, if you were to do this in a more defined way, you really do need to do pretty precise measurements in order for it to work right. When I teach the kids this method, it's funny because a lot of them don't know how to use a ruler very well. And it's not really funny. Actually, it really worries me. But anyway, when you're doing the measurements, so some of these lines, what I'm getting at is that some of these lines may not line up perfectly. And that is going to be because even if you're off like 1/4 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch, it will show in your drawing. But if, again, like this is more about enjoying the process, getting something that you can look and go, oh, I'm proud of myself. This actually kind of looks like this. That's what we're most concerned with, especially right now. None of us are like super pros. Okay, so I'm going to start with this line here, even though I didn't do it in marker. So we've got spheres, sort of spheres, whatever, close enough. And then we've got this, one of the kids told me what it's called. It's not a cube. It is a, now if I had a classroom with people sitting in it, sometimes people will go, oh, it's a blah, blah, blah. But nobody's here to help me and I can't read the comments. But it's, I know I have teachers on my feed here tonight. I can't remember what it's called. But anyway, it's a flat. It's a rectangle that is three-dimensional. So that's what our little napkin kind of is here. We can treat it as that. I didn't think I was going to need these lines, but I'm going to put them in there anyway. And then we got this cool little triangle here where it folds. Okay, so here again is my center line. And I've got a line that comes, it's about halfway. That's my mark here for the napkin. I can't believe I'm doing this upside down. I'm so proud of myself. And we're going to go off like this and turn and come in like that. Mine is just not, it's not quite lined up. So I don't know if I did poor measuring or what. but close enough for tonight. Or any time for that matter. And then this right here is our point here, let's say, and then I'm going to go, now here's where my other part of my bowl is. So I'm going to make these connect whether it's exactly as my grid or not. Actually, I want to bring this over a little bit so it looks very pointy. So you can do that too if you want. Because this is the actual bottom of our bowl is going behind this napkin. Okay, so then I'm going to try to kind of check, like, look at this right here, this shape. This is called negative space. And that shape should kind of look like this shape in here. So that's how you can constantly check yourself. Look at this space here. Look, don't look at anything else. Just look at these spaces, this weird shape that it makes. Like a rhombus or something. I don't know. I'm trying to get fancy now. It's the only one I remember. Parallelograms, rhombuses. I'm going to adjust some of these. Okay. All right. Now my lemon is somewhere around here. Now, so for those of you who are like, I'm not really sure I'm into the grid method, and I get it a lot. People, like I said, people either love it or they hate it. Now, if you're type A like me, you like it. It can still be a thorn in your side, but you like it, and you can appreciate it, what it brings to the table. But it's not for everybody. Okay. One thing I'll say about drawing upside down, which also is covered in that book, Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain. It's Betty Edwards, if anybody wants to look it up. If you get really serious about drawing, it's a great reference. Anyway, drawing upside down kind of tricks your brain into thinking, ooh, that's way off. Tricks your brain into not being able to fill in those blanks because it doesn't recognize. If I didn't know this was a bowl of lemons and I just saw that, I would just draw the lines. I wouldn't be worried about making it into a napkin and a bowl. And that's kind of what drawing upside down does. So you should try it. Like if you have a coloring book page or something like that, use that and flip it upside down and draw it upside down. So it's a great practice. Okay. Napkin. And then the napkin comes into this quadrant. And I'll just flip this since we're on the last quadrant. It comes into this quadrant somewhere around here. And then this comes down here. I got to try to look at these spaces to try to get these lines on the right, like the right arc for this. And again, I'm doing this to try to make it look as close to this as possible. You could open this all back up and literally eyeball it. I think the most useful part of the grid method is that it helps you, sometimes people are like, I don't know where to start. And everyone starts somewhere different, I guess, just based on who they are and, how they look at things. Sometimes starting from the top, or, in this culture, we read from left to right. Sometimes doing those kinds of things, like starting on the left and work your way right. I don't know. To me, that's a personal thing. I don't think there's a real right or wrong to like where to begin on a drawing. So this is what I use to get myself started. Give myself a couple reference points because, just looking at the grand photo sometimes can be overwhelming, especially if you have more information in it than we have in this one. This is a fair amount of information though. So this is not a perfect circle. And this is another little half sphere or something close to it. So look at these pretty, like this is a pretty little crescent moon shape, like upside down crescent moon. Could be a smile. I don't know. Like think of those things in terms that aren't lemon terms. Think of them in terms that that make sense to you. Or it's funny because a lot of times when you teach kids, you're teaching them like shapes and to look at things in that way. And then as adults, we forget those things. But even as an adult, like I'll break it down like that in my mind. I just don't always say it out loud. I have that free license when I teach the kids because they want to hear that stuff. It makes sense. It helps us kind of, gives you a reference. Okay. All right, so, and I'm still checking myself against these spaces. So I'm doing pretty good, I'd say. And then I'm going to do my little crescent moon here. Looks a little wonky. How's everybody doing? Did I lose everybody? I don't even know if anyone's out there anymore. Anyway, at least when people leave my class, like, you know, I know when they leave, and we have these nice little chats, and so strange. I'm just trying to get used to it. Okay. So hopefully you guys, well, I guess you can draw. You can draw alone. You can draw with people. It's one of those activities. Okay. Now, this might get a little bit tricky. I'm going to draw myself another little grid on top of my lemon. Oh, I forgot this line over here. So this should be kind of on that angle. I haven't even turned this upside right, right side up to see how I'm doing here. I guess you guys will have to be the judge. Okay. All right. And then I'm just going to do like a quick little deal like this. Now it's got the rind around here, and then we've got these cute little juicy sections of our lemon. And I'm gonna kind of like, again, I don't want to seem too too unyielding here. Like, you know, have some fun with it. You can make these. This reminds me of Trivial Pursuit, if anybody remembers that game. Anytime I draw like sections of fruit, that's what I think of. Those little pie, the little pieces of pie. You'd have to get your questions right to get them. See, like this is that'd be fatter here. You can kind of go rogue on these like little pieces here if you want. And if you're having trouble with any part of this, like twist it upside down. It actually works kind of nicely. Now, this is where I can like check myself and go, oh yeah, this is a little off there. But again, you can cut yourself some slack. I'm going to cut myself some slack so you can. And you can cut me some slack while you're at it. Yeah, that's not bad, actually. Okay. I gotta pat myself on the back sometimes, you know? We're all so hard on ourselves. We're like, oh man, that looks pretty darn good. I kind of like this little guy. Now, again, like I'm gonna do the, we're gonna do the outline. So we're almost done with this aspect of the drawing. Now, as soon as I said that, oh yeah, there we go. Okay. You could, like I'm going to outline this with Sharpie. You could take, if you have like markers or colored pencils. I think I have some kids on the call. I'm like radio personality. I think I have some kids that might be watching or were watching. Their attention span's probably blown all to bits by now. But if you are still out there, or your parents are, you could always add color to this and just use it kind of as a coloring book page, because who doesn't want a lemon coloring book page? It's very interesting, exciting. Doesn't really hold a candle to I don't know what's popular anymore, the Frozen movie or whatever. Doesn't hold a candle to that, but you can say you drew it and colored it. Anyway, and these probably, again, like if you looked at them long and hard and they were in front of you, these aren't going to be super, they're probably going to have a little bit of a bend to them, or there's a little pulpy, you know, kind of part here where they connect. So don't feel like you have to, you know, keep these really, they're not going to be the perfect little triangles. I went a little funky here. Clean that up. Okay. So yeah, I think tonight I'll just do the, this happens to me all the time when I try to teach something. Sorry. I'm going to just do the drawing part tonight, and then do the contour line drawing, excuse me, and then maybe we can come back in here. We can actually, a lot of times when I do a painting, I'll start with a contour line drawing. Not usually this detailed, but you could transfer this, and I'll just show you that really quickly here before I go. And I could ask, you know, if anybody has any questions, like I said, I'm not going to be able to answer them right now. But if you want to pop in and ask any questions, or I'm sure you all have made some comments. I saw them before I twisted the phone down. But feel free. I will answer them when I get off the video here in a minute. And I know I was trying to finish a thought a minute ago, and I forgot what it was. Oh, so the contour. This is a contour line drawing. Now, at this point, I would probably... I'm not going to draw all of these lines in. That's something I would probably leave to when we go into shading. Because what I love about doing a drawing with a grayscale is you already have your grayscale. Your eye doesn't have to try to pick out the darks and the lights. Now, as you get more, as you get better at this, your eye will be more trained to do that. You know, seeing this little reflection down here, which always happens. There's like a little back reflection that comes up on anything that you're shading. And then the dark here, the light here. So you start to pick those things out. It's a lot easier to do that and to create that spectrum in the grays when you're doing a graphite pencil drawing or charcoal or something, when you have a black and white or a grayscale reference photo. Okay, so I think this is, I'm going to call this done for contour line drawing tonight. Hopefully, as I've been talking incessantly, because I really just feel like it's weird when I'm not talking. Feels like and then I'll forget that you're here because you're not even physically in front of me. There's a nice, cool, like a little shadowing here to ground that lemon. So you could draw those things in. You could draw in those lines that you would shade. And you can either, you could leave this for another day. Possibly, actually, maybe you should. Because if you want to, I'll see what you guys say about it. Maybe I could do a shading of this. I'll probably do it in Vine Charcoal, though, because the pencil, like, it will take a long time, and I don't know how to do all that fancy speeding up process. But you could either, you know, draw these in with the, I'm going to do that, with a marker, and then go back in and color it. I love color, so I would probably want to cut, see, look at that, erg. This is why I do everything in pencil, because once you start markering it, you gotta be a little careful. Can't erase it. Can't erase that permanent marker. So make sure it's what you like before you go crazy doing that. But this is our contour line drawing. You can take this drawing, I keep starting these sentences and then quitting on you guys. And you could actually, you don't have to keep this actually the way that it is. You could I cannot do two things at once. All right. You could outline all of this in marker, and then a neat little trick, which with my permanent marker you can see it on the back side. But a neat little trick is to take, you can use your regular old pencil. We used to do this in school. It's funny how a lot of people have never heard of doing this, but if you have like a soft compressed charcoal, that's awesome. But you can do it just with a plain old graphite pencil too, and you can literally scribble across the whole back of this. All right, I won't do it because it'll waste all my pencil lead right now, and I don't want to take up too much more time. But anyway, you flip this over once you cover this, and you got to do it really, really well, very dark, and make sure you have a ton of graphite. You can actually take this and then trace your contour line drawing onto a canvas. You could do it onto another piece of paper. You could do it on, I will do, sometimes I'll put a piece of tracing paper over top of this and trace it, and then do something similar on canvases. But you can use this almost like old school carbon paper, if you know carbon paper. It has the same effect. So you could transfer this image onto any number of things and paint it, or whatever, colored pencil, any other medium that you like. So it's useful for a lot of things. Contour line drawings are my favorite because they just have 1,000,001 different uses. And like I said, once you have a good solid contour line drawing, it just makes the rest of it is not easy, don't get me wrong, but it makes it easier if you have a good proportionate line drawing to work from. Now you could go in here and you can add some cute little, maybe you put a little face on some of your lemons. I don't know, make it your own, make it fun. Now you got this plain old, beautifully drawn contour line drawing. This is when you make it your own. This is when you turn it into something fun and cute and show me some style. And if any of you are brave enough or would like to, I feel like I need to do this too. Would like to share with me what you've drawn. If you don't want to pop it up on Facebook, because that's like the world sees it, you could always email it to me. I don't know if I could do this upside down. Well, actually, I won't have to. Let me try this. So if you want to email it to me, or if you've seen this and you want to be included in my email newsletter, I try not to bombard people, but you could email me a photo of what you did. Maybe, hopefully you can read that. It's HP, my initials, at heatherpastor.com. That's my email address. Really, you could email me anything you like. Anything, nice, of course. But I could add you to my email list. You can hopefully like my Facebook page while you're on here if you haven't already. I'm also on pretty much, my background is in marketing. So I'm on pretty much every single possible social media outlet known to man. So if you're on it, I'm probably on it. You can search by my name, or you could search by my company name is still out there on a lot of stuff, which is 1x1 designs with an S.com. And on most everything, I'm actually listed as 1x1 designs. Can you see that? And I think, hopefully, is that showing? It's not showing right. Arg. Okay, so hopefully, because you can't read it, I don't know. I was trying to trick myself into thinking I could do that. I should know better. But anyway, so it's 1x1. It's all spelled out. ONEBYONE designs.com. And let me just do another quick little goodbye. I'm still here. You're still there. Okay, good. And I turned my air down, so I'm sweating profusely. Just wanted to say thank you so very much for joining me tonight and letting me kind of work out some some little things. Hopefully it seemed to go pretty well. You guys can be the judge, but hopefully you can offer up any suggestions. Maybe you couldn't hear me, or I don't know, whatever happened on the page while I wasn't facing you. Maybe you can just let me know. Hopefully, again, I was turned the right way. I did a lot of research, so hopefully this came out okay. But anyway, I really appreciate it. It's a new thing for me. I'm very excited. It's something I've wanted to add. I've been teaching classes now. This is year number 8 for me. So, but this is a whole new world. Totally different than teaching in person. And there's things I like about it so far, and some things that I'd much rather be able to see you all, your shiny, happy faces. But whatever. It is what it is right now. So we're just rolling with it, and I'm excited. I think this is going to be good, and hopefully you felt the same way, and that we can continue this relationship again on Facebook Live. So thanks for spending your evening with me. Turning some lemons into some lemonade at some point. And yeah, so thanks again for being here. I appreciate you all, and hope to see you soon, in person or virtually. Bye.